Yo, 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 this is your boy Isaac. Now, it's AJ, and we are brothers at the net. We got a fun collab tonight, and I will invite Craig Bell, of course. I will invite Bryce from Brothers on Tennis, and I will invite Isaac, also from Brothers on Tennis. Let's find him right now, Isaac, and that should do it. We're going to have the best time. Looks like all our friends are here. Looking forward to this. With the brothers, here comes Isaac. Here comes Bryce. I'm sure Craig is on the way. What's
AJ,
up?
what's up?
What's up, my man? Isaac, how are you?
Oh, awesome, man. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You've got your At the Net podcast hat, as I've got
Yes,
my
sir.
Brothers on Tennis hat. I can't wait for tonight, man. Oh, there's Bryce. How are you, sir?
Good. Hey there. How's everybody?
What's up, bro?
How are you, bro? We're doing well. Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to this tonight.
You too, man. I mean, this is exciting, man. You know, the At the Net guys, the Brothers on Tennis guys. Wait a minute. Hold on. I got a hat I got to put on. Hold on.
Don't
He's
forget
the
about
man.
the hat. Hey, everybody.
What's
Lisa.
up, everybody? Welcome in. How's everybody feeling?
Oh, excellent, man. Hey, are you recovered, AJ? Are you? Because you were at the Houston tournament, right? Are you back?
Man, I had the best time. I recovered pretty quickly. It wasn't too demanding. Not too many late nights, but you know, their night matches started at 6, so 2 matches. I'm in bed by 10:30. It was great.
I love that, man. Absolutely. How
really
far
fun.
did you have to travel? I mean, was it just was it near you or what?
Well, you know, the Dallas Open was 1.2 miles from my house. But Houston, that's a solid 4-hour drive. Yeah. So we had to do Airbnb. Oh, there's Brycey with the At the Net hat.
Hey, now.
I love it. Love it.
So,
Love
Rick.
this collab. Oh, this is awesome.
Hey, Pat, I see you out there.
That's right.
Hey, that's
and,
right.
You know, one of our big fans of both podcasts, Rick Ekloff, had a match, and now he doesn't, so he's with us. So welcome, Rick. I'm so glad everybody's along. The only one we're missing is our boy Craig Bell, I'm sure.
Yeah, where's our boy Craig?
Where's Craig?
What's up?
I don't know. I have invited him, and he always makes a grand entrance, and hopefully it's with his Brothers on Tennis hat.
Right.
Yeah. Isaac was asking
Love
about
it.
Houston. Yeah. 4-hour drive, Airbnb, great fun. I went down with some friends. I got to help out with the USPTA thing while I was there, and all these great players who played both Dallas and Houston. And I sort of nicknamed it was a very country nickname, but Texas Two-Step. Like, and if anybody can play both tournaments, if anybody can win both tournaments, which our bearded tall friend Opelka did.
The two-step. I was, you know, what came to mind for me at first was the whole UTEP two-step, Mr. Tim Hardaway. but we'll keep it to tennis tonight.
Love basketball. Love UT El Paso also. Yeah. We will keep it in tennis. I'm going to invite Craig Bell one more time. But folks at home, what we're doing tonight, of course, I love these guys. We enjoy each other's podcasts. And this is the first collab that we've ever done with them. However, we've had Bryce and Isaac and a few others in a 6-person panel before. So we love each other and have a feel for each other. And for those reasons, we're going to have a blast tonight. I'm going to warm it up with a very spicy third set. We got a 3-segment format. The end will be pretty funny and pretty spicy because I know these two brothers have a lot to say.
Always.
The middle segment is kind of fun also. It'll be us discussing our favorite moments this past quarter, this past winter, you could say, of our own podcast, but also of each other's podcasts. And then the first set, and we're just going to go right to it, and Craig will join us any minute, I'm sure. But the first set will be kind of a tour, as Bryce designed it, kind of a tour of the first quarter of tennis, starting, honestly, in probably late December and going all the way through March. So I'm looking forward to that, and that will be what we do first. I want Bryce or Isaac to start with that one.
Oh, wow. Look who we got.
CB,
Hey.
you did make it.
Yeah, sorry, I was still working, at the club. So
That's great. That's great. It's the At the Club podcast for CB. So
That's
yeah.
right.
We needed to hear the 50 Cent playing in the background. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it without the 50 Cent in the
You
background.
need the 50 Cent in the
club,
background.
At the club.
Right.
That's great. It is not Craig's birthday, but it's his wife. So
Yeah.
we can sing at least the first couple bars of that song right now to sing.
Right. Well, actually, I met my wife 40 years ago yesterday, the day after she turned 18. Because I was asking her, she was at a party. She shouldn't have been at this party. It was a college party. And I go, how old are you? And she goes, 18. I'm like, oh, okay. Because it's 17. I was 22 when I met her. And I didn't want to date anybody 17. So I was kind of like, 18. Okay. I go, when you turn 18?
Was
She goes,
okay.
yeah, 18. You got to have your standards, guys, Come on, Especially
That
in
1
Utah.
year. That
Yeah,
1
17.
year.
Well,
All right.
Craig, don't tell that story. Don't tell
What's
that
that?
story around any law enforcement.
No, that's 18 will get you 20.
See, there you
But
go.
but not in Utah. So I'll let you mull on that. So I am Mormon, and I have about 200 wives out here at the club. So I rotate them. I rotate them around all the time. So if I get mad at them, I go, "You're heading out. Sorry, new one in." So new wife.
Such an entertainer this man is. So
All
yeah,
while
third
playing
set.
50 Cent.
Right.
Love it.
He got nothing.
Love
50 got nothing on me. So
So third set, we're talking spicy, fun stuff. Second set, we're going to get into each other's podcasts and our own and highlights. But here we are. We're starting with Bryce on kind of a tour of results of note from the first quarter, beginning back basically Christmas. Bryce, you're on. Then we'll go to Isaac. Then we'll go to Craig.
So, the interesting thing for me is one of the first events in the beginning of the year was the whole ATP Cup, right? And we had been saying that when it came to the team competitions, Russia was running things, right? On really both the men's and the women's side, right? So we thought ATP Cup, Russia's going to run and take this. What we did not expect was that the Rona was still out there. And so the Rona got Rublev, it got Karatsev, and so that brought Russia down to, I think, Danil and this Safulin.
Safulin, yep.
Oh, yeah. Roman Safulin, yeah.
Yeah, and he played really well, actually. But I just don't think Russia was coming with their strongest team. And surprise, a team that we've been talking about for a long time now, well, maybe 2 or 3 years, was how strong Canada could be. And we didn't think it would be without, Green Giant, Raonic. We thought he was going to be a part of the mix, but he actually wasn't. It was the new guns coming through for the first time, Shapovalov and FAA. And the last thing I'm going to say about it before I turn it over to you guys is that I think we saw, just like we've seen how Kyrgios has taken his doubles win, and he's taken his singles a little more seriously. I think even that win for Canada did a little extra something for FAA. And I think it showed in his results as well. So what did you guys think?
I'm with you. I feel like it helped Chapo, even though maybe not in terms of attitude, but certainly confidence in tennis. I know he had a rough loss with Rafa at the Australian Open, but boy, did Felix take things up. After losing something like 8 finals, he won Montpellier over, Rotterdam, I think, over Stefanos Tsitsipas. And he hammered him in both sets, and it was just dominant indoors. And I thought, oh, man, Felix is a new guy, and I love that. So great observation, Bryce, on how a team event can fuel individual success as well. How about Isaac and then Craig?
Well, I'll piggyback on that topic because, you know, a big FAA fan, of course, and I think that he did really a great job at the ATP Cup, got his maiden title. I will say this, though. He kind of has been a little bit flat since he took that L against Rublev in that next final. Because remember, he made 2 finals in a row. He won the one against Tsitsipas, and then he played that following week, and he made it to the final because I thought he was going to do 2 in a row, and he ended up actually getting stolen by Rublev. and since that time, Felix's game has been, and don't get me wrong, it's no sign of danger, no red flags or anything going on, but his results actually have not been that good since that final. And I think it might be just him kind of like, whoa, I got my maiden title. I've got that monkey off my back. Now I can kind of start resetting myself and getting myself, you know, ready for some other things. But of late, Felix actually, in my opinion, has not actually been delivering. But I am very proud of him that he got his maiden title.
Yep. Good stuff there.
CB, how about you? You got a highlight for us from the first quarter?
2 things.
Yes.
Tim Hortons, poutine. That's Canada. That's all
Canada.
I gotta say.
You nailed him.
You got to go to Tim Hortons. It's kind of like Buc-ee's here in the Texas area. Tim Hortons is such a legendary place, and then eating some poutine. That's why those guys and gals from Canada are winning. So they got good. They're fueling up at Tim Hortons on some good poutine up there. So
I used to travel to Canada a lot for work, and so I'm very familiar with Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
But that poutine,
no, that
can't do it.
You guys said wrapped it up really well. ATP Cup, Canada. Boy, howdy! Who would have thunk, 5 years ago that we'd be saying that Canada has a better, teams or team tennis than, or even players at this point than the U.S. of A.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's really interesting to note that the players that you all mentioned on the men's side, women's side, have really come of age. I think we're behind them, actually. Hopefully we're, women wise, I think we've got a lot of ladies that are coming up, but our guys, and we'll talk about more with the guys here in a bit, I know, from the American standpoint, but Canada seems to have be singing that tune, "Oh Canada." That's all I know. So that's all I got.
Well, let's move over after the ATP Cup. There are a couple of tournaments in Adelaide. That's in South Australia.
Yep.
I guess west or a little bit west of Melbourne. Let's start with Bryce again. What do you think? And you can please talk about not just one, but both of them, Adelaide.
Well, the only one I want to talk about is the one that Monfils finally showed up and was able to snag a title again. I was so happy for him. I think even though he hasn't won anything else so far this year, I think we've seen in every tournament he's progressing further. He's looking better. I think the marriage did wonders for him. Now, apparently, it broke Svitolina's back. But, for Monfils, he's been clowning since he's gotten married.
Oh, yeah. Poor Svitolina. I guess she realized that, hey, he can get out there and make that money. I'm gonna sit here and just do me for a little while. Exactly, because she has definitely been she's been taking some L's of late, which is very interesting because she, of the two, has always been the disciplined one, the one that you can count on her pretty much to get the results that you would expect, I guess. And Gael was always the wild card, and I feel like that's kind of flipping. And it's I don't know, you put a ring on it, and I guess stuff just mentally changes.
It's funny you say that. There was definitely a time that she's the one who stretched religiously and got to bed by 10, and now her results dipped, his are up. And you mentioned the money. I'm hearing that he wasn't incredibly well paid by Wilson, but he is very well paid by this company, Artengo, which is a sub-brand of Decathlon, which is kind of a sporting giant over there in Europe, particularly France. So he got the bag from prize money, but also from a racket deal, and the man is playing great. and the man he beat in the final must be asking to speak with the manager. Karen Khachanov did not expect to get his ass kicked by Lemov.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
And just to be balanced, you know, on the women's side for that tournament, we had Ash Barty continue to do her thing. We're thinking she's on the road to dominate for 2022. And she starts it off in Adelaide over Rybakina. And how wrong were we?
Well, I wouldn't say we were wrong.
Just not right.
Just not right. Exactly. I think we were surprised. See, Craig, I'll let you jump in on that one.
No, that's what you guys were saying. Monfils. I always think of him as maybe a great 2 or 3, match kind of player, but serious contention for like a slam. Never made the semis or the finals just because he's just such a wild card, like what you all were saying. I enjoy his tennis. I really enjoy watching him play, but he just didn't seem that serious early on. Maybe he's a little bit more serious. Maybe marriage did Svitolina to settle him down a little bit and say, hey, she started kicking his ass like, hey, come on, get out there. You got to make some coins for the effort here, Put a ring on it. You got to show me the love, Right. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. All of a sudden, she got injured. And I was like, how'd that happen? So, okay, well, who knows? But she was definitely playing well, I thought, all of last year. I mean, she had some really good results, but maybe that took too much stress out of her to play that high-level tennis. I mean, that is a grind, as we all know. I know we'll talk about Ash Barty in a second, but, that gal, I mean, 8 months of solid tennis outside of Australia, outside of the, down under. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, Monfils playing some pretty good ball.
Good stuff. Let's move to and I'll just mention since we're on Adelaide, Adelaide hometown boy Kokkinakis, after a really bad injury or two, to win his hometown tournament. That was pretty special, and maybe that individual success fueled a little bit of team success. Him and Kyrgios winning the Australian Open. But let's get to Melbourne and of course the Australian Open. Let's start with Bryce again.
Well, I had predicted Medvedev was going to win. Actually, I had predicted the final. I predicted that it was going to be Nadal versus Medvedev.
Wow.
But that's where it ended, because I thought Medvedev was going to win. And actually, watching it, I was still thinking Medvedev was going to win, considering, his start in the match. So was very happy for Nadal. It's one of the interesting things, and I'll just mention this very quickly. A lot of times in the history of tennis, when you have kind of the top competitors in the game, you can't be fans of one or the other. Like, you were either a Lendl or a McEnroe fan, or you were a Martina Navratilova or a Chris Everett fan. And we've just gone through this period with Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal that whichever one that you're a fan of, you don't hate the other one. I mean, it's kind of like that's your play cousin,
Yeah.
And so you kind of got this special kind of love for them too. So although I am a Roger guy, I always still kind of root for Nadal unless he's playing Roger, pretty much. And to see him win, to see him come back from having been on crutches and in a cast, not long before, for him to be the first one of the big three to hit 21, for him to do it on the surface or at the major that he had been the least successful, for him to also match Djokovic on having won each one of the majors twice. It was such a historic event, and I found myself being a little happier for Nadal than I even thought.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I was very happy for Rafa. I thought that he got in there, and again, the pick was Medvedev. I feel like he realized probably after he lost that second set in the third set, was like, you know what? I got a real crazy opportunity here. And everybody's had all of their attention on Djokovic being the one to surpass everybody and get to 21 and 22 and blah, blah, blah. And he's chasing, and, and Djokovic basically sabotaged himself and he wasn't there. And Nadal was like, hey, why not me?
Right.
And to me, I think he just stepped up. He did Rafa things, and he did what Rafa does, which is Rafa doesn't give up. Rafa plays every point 100%. And I don't think Daniil Medvedev was quite ready for that level that Rafa was able to take it to, because that's what the greats are able to do. He didn't assume or think that Rafa had that last gear. And when he got in that gear, Medvedev was like, "Oh crap, I'm in trouble."
Yeah. Do you think Medi lost it or Rafa won it? I'm interested.
I think
AJ.
a little both. I would say a little bit of both, in all honesty. I think that he realized that Rafa had taken that his level. He skipped up a level. And I think Medvedev was like, I don't think I can match that. Because mind you, he's a young gun. He has only won one slam. So he is still in awe of the big three. Let's not, let's call it like it is. I honestly feel like he realized that Rafa was going into a zone that he did not have. And I also think that Rafa stepped his game up and was like, you know what? I am not going to allow this opportunity to pass me by. Here I come.
Right. And Isaac, I just want to throw out to you, I totally agree with you. I do think it's a balance between the two. And I don't take anything away from Rafa, because most people put in the same situation would not have been able to pull that off. But now that we've kind of learned that Medvedev has been suffering with this hernia, it's very interesting. And he would never probably come out, never say. But I wonder if that played a role at all for him on his side of the court.
Interesting question. I believe he believed in Bryce's predictions that Medvedev would beat Rafa. I believe Rafa may have even believed that for the first 90 minutes. But when you say, what effect did the hernia have, we'll never know, but that's a great question. My question is, what effect did his substandard transition game have? Because Rafa exploited the little bit of inexperience in the midcourt by about I would say late in the third set. And he hammered that nail for the next 2 hours and won it in 5, which is just, like you said, very happy, but totally amazing. Yeah. CB, how about you? What were some highlights from the Australian Open?
Yeah, obviously Rafa winning. I respect Rafa immensely. I still love Roger. He's the king, and he'll always be the king. Ash Barty, I just amazed at that lady. How she's able to win, and then win for the first time since Yvonne Goolagong back in, what was it, 74, 5? 78, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to pull that off, that was incredible. Danielle Collins, I was really happy for her, because she played really well that tournament. I think she's right on the cusp. She just can't quite get there all of a sudden, but maybe she will this year. She'll figure out how to win. So I think there's something that she's got that is very impressive in her game. Also, I saw today that she's going to be down in Austin with our buddy Christo van Rensburg at the ATX. We might save and talk about that later in the third set or something. But she's going to be coming to Texas for a WTA event coming up in October, I think, something like that.
That's right. Like I think it's late October, and it's a WTA 250.
Right. But, it was a good event. I love the Australian Open, been there a couple of times. I think that's my favorite place of the slams. That unfortunately it goes on at 2 a.m. That's it. You get a little sleep deprived after a while. You kind of, but it's great theater. Melbourne's a great city, and I think everybody enjoyed being back. Playing in front of the crowds. That they finally got them back. Australia, as we all know, has kind of been interesting about their policies on COVID, and rightfully so. I mean, whatever side of the table you all sit on, it's not been fun either way, and I'm sure that the fans being back, it's nice for the players, I'm sure, to hear hear the roar of the crowd, or the applause. Hey, we're behind you. That kind of stuff. Even though some of it might be vetted towards the other person. I think that they all enjoyed hearing the applause and seeing people back at the stadium again.
Right on. How about as we wrap Australian Open, all three fellas, anything else? We've talked mostly about men's and women's singles. Any doubles highlights for you from that first quarter?
You got to give love to Special K. I mean, they're crazy. They're out of control. They have the #1 team in the world twisted, ready to scrap in the locker room. Even had their own countrymen talking smack after the finals. So spicy Special K, man. They are something to deal with. But I tell you what, it's nice to hear though that they are going to play an entire year together. And my hope is that they do actually make it through to the top 8 of the year in championships, because that will set that thing on fire.
Well, they are both pretty proud. Anytime you go to an ATP event, or even just go to their website, the individual rankings are Salisbury, Ram. It's very normal. But the team rankings at every tournament, they display it. Kyrgios and Koch, #1 in the world. And Nick, I talked to Nick 4 or 5 days ago. He's like, shout out to Koch, man. Me and Koch, number one team in the world, baby.
You call yourself a journalist. Did he say you call yourself a journalist? Piss off.
He did. He said, piss off, mate. Next question.
Well, and I will throw out there on the women's side, Krejcikova and Steniakova. I mean, they were like, look, we #1. We're gonna come remind y'all why we #1, and we're gonna do it right here. And
exactly,
and they did.
They did.
Now, I am going to introduce kind of a different subject here, and I think Isaac may have brought this up on one of our shows, so I won't take credit for the idea. But I think, as we're seeing Krejcikova have some kind of like health issues, it was very impressive to be #2 in singles and #2 in doubles. She may not be able to continue that for the long haul, and it will be interesting to see if she'll have to try to give up some of that doubles time. And I think it was Isaac that said, which is very interesting, because I think she may actually enjoy the doubles more than she does, the singles. So that's going to be something to keep our eye out on for her, as she's currently already out with injury.
That's a great point. She's probably going to have to choose, and the coach in me wants her to breathe better and close the mouth.
Yeah, right.
You wrong for that.
Right.
You wrong.
You wrong, but you're so right. I always look at it as like, she's surprised. I mean, what's going on? Just, baby girl,
Stop. Let that woman hit her ball. Let her hit her ball.
I love Krejcikova, y'all. I got to mess with her though, because she's
You
keep Krejcikova's name out of your mouth.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. Cut it.
Oh, that's good. Well, I want to move on to after the Australian Open, Montpellier in France. I think there was some action in Rotterdam, but shout out to Rick Ekloff, who's absolute hero. That's Bublik, and he said it in the comments over here, but it's also in my notes. Bublik beat up on the other Sasha Bublik over Sasha Zverev in the final of that awesome indoor event. Guys, let's start with Bryce. Tell us some of your highlights from just after the Oz Open.
Well, for me, it was, we mentioned earlier Rotterdam, when FAA finally broke the curse and got his first title under his belt. And I really was hoping that next week in Marseille that he got that title too. Because I was going to think like, wow, he gets his first title, then boom, he gets the second one right behind that. But, Rublev wasn't hearing that. So that did not happen. And then the other kind of like highlight for me after the Australian Open probably was Sloane also winning again after such a very long time. sometimes we wonder, how interested Sloane is in actually winning. She showed up and she took care of Guadalajara and took that title. So that was good for her.
That was good. And how about the absolute adorable meter skyrocketing when she thanked her sweet husband, Josie Altidore of U.S. men's national team. He's got to be one of the highest scoring guys, at least in our lifetimes in the past 30, 40 years for the soccer. And just so damn cute. The newlywed vibe, like she said, and my husband, and then she checked herself. She's like, wait, my fiance? No, it is my husband. That's the cutest damn thing. I love that girl. But I mean, how do you not love her tennis?
Right.
Her smile. She's just amazing. Isaac and Craig, what do y'all have?
Go ahead, Isaac.
Man.
I'll let you.
Well, first of all, yeah, of course, got to give a shout out to Rick for the Sasha beatdown. The Sasha beatdown. Gotta love that. I was quite happy to see Bublik get his first title because he's, he again is one of those guys that's really interesting. Never know what to expect from him. He's always going to throw in, a drop shot serve or between the legs. I mean, he's very much a Nick Kyrgios type of guy. But I like him for whatever reason, and I was really, really happy to see him not only get a maiden title, but again, to beat Zverev, because that just brings me pleasure to see Zverev lose. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just not a Zverev fan. We'll get to that segment later with the chair. But anyway, I very much was happy for Sloane. Like Bryce said, she's just a wonderful young lady, and I'm a little concerned about Sloane right now, though, because Sloane seems to be on a little bit of a slide. Now, she done got back with Kamau. Now, Kamau, come on now. Let's get it right and get things moving again, because she is on a little bit of a slide, if I have to say. But we love Sloane. And I guess the only other thing is, how about the Miss Leylah Fernandez on her back-to-backs? Let's talk about that, because everybody loves Leylah Fernandez. She is just so awesome and incredible. And the fact that she was able to go back to her maiden, tournament win and back it up, not too many people can back up a tournament win. So that to me was extremely significant from her. And I just thought that was incredible. So I'll leave that there.
Yeah, good stuff there, because she was our first pro follow on the Athanet podcast. I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Didn't know that. Nice.
Give her a shout out right there.
I remember thinking, who is this 17-year-old kid, Layla Annie? And it didn't even say Fernandez, Layla Annie tennis. And then I looked it up. I was like, this kid's going to be a baller. I had no idea she's going to be in the finals of the U.S. Open. But when I saw some of her posts, I was like, kid, attacking, lefty, chip backhand, regular backhand, amazing forehand, and a gutsy little slider of a serve. I love it. I think it's Linnell who pointed out she did not have a great tournament. I believe Linnell called it a mess in Charleston, South Carolina. But maybe that's like Sloane, just a little bit of a slide. They their teams fully understand that the French Open is coming up, and if you're going to have a slide, let's slide now and do great at the actual, Rome and France.
Right.
Yeah. Two things also come to mind from this last couple of months. Let me say one thing. Rick Ekloff always thinks Sasha Bublik is going to win every tournament he enters. So just take that as a grain of salt, because he's in Bublik's camp all the way, kind of like us and Federer and Rafa or Novak whenever they enter. Well,
at least he was right once.
Right.
He's like a broken watch. He's right twice a day.
Right. That's Rick.
So far, only once here.
Right. Take him with a grain of salt, just that small grain of salt, because he's in the Bublik camp. There.
It's I must sympathize, because I happen to know locally there are teaching pros who Craig and I know personally who all think Rick is the 50-year-old embodiment of Sasha Bublik. Like, he serves underhand, he plays that weird game. He's a tall, skinny guy. So there really are some parallels. And I'll also say support for Rick. Craig, how many slams did I pick Ash Barty to win? And I was right 3 times, but it must have
at
been,
least 15. I think
it must have
15
been,
is
it must have been
Wow.
4 years worth, 3
Right.
years worth of slams. And,
Right.
you know, she finally came good and she's gone. We'll get to that.
And she's
Well, also,
gone.
and one other point that I was going to make about
yeah.
BNP Paribas, you know, I thought that that was a great effort on behalf of Taylor Harry Fritz and Rafa Nadal playing that final, because both of them were pretty banged up. Obviously, Rafa was really injured, and you know, Taylor Harry also too. Rafa, how do you feel coming off BNP? Do you feel okay?
Wow, Craig, thank you so much for asking. No, Taylor and I were both very, very feeling the physical problems, no, but all the pressure. I feel great. I'm having a break, no. I'm going to be back not for Barcelona, but Madrid. So I will see you there, no?
That is amazing.
Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's
So
so
good,
good.
bro.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. I just want, you know, him to be able to do that with Rafa one day. You know, that'd be
Me
funny.
too.
Or what's the guy from Australia? The Australian guy that does Rafa as well.
Elliot Lowney.
I'd love to see you and
Right.
Elliot both start, you know, having a conversation with each other doing Rafa voices, because
Oh.
you guys would just crack it up. I mean, it's so funny. And then both of you start talking, well, you know, just kind of you get the mannerisms. But, you know, shout out to Rafa, seriously, for that broken rib, playing through that. Could have easily said, you know what, I'm out and I'm sorry, you know, in my best interest of health. The dude stuck it out. Taylor Harry, you look at that ankle, holy smokes. I saw him, you know, I think I was watching a replay. I didn't realize his ankle was that bad. You know, I saw what he did. I think it was in practice. Didn't he roll the ankle in practice? Wow, man, that looked pretty hairy, as you know, no pun intended, but you know, it was quite a injury. And, you know, shout out to both those guys. They played some yeoman's tennis out there on you know, injured bodies. So I thought that was a really nice event. Miami's always a great event. Alcaraz, you know, Carlito, as Adrian calls him, Carlito Alcaraz, did a really great job down there. Swiatek, you know, Bianca Swiatek, you know, played, or however you say her name. What the hell do you say her name? It's Swiatek.
I mean, we're
Swiatek.
told to throw an N in there, like Swiatek.
Right.
But it's really probably
Iga. Right, Iga. Yeah, right there. So you know, AJ knows that if I can't pronounce their name, I don't vote for them. So I don't think they're winning. So, you know, it's like, hey, if I can't pronounce somebody's name, you know what? I'm not voting for you. So get an easy name, you know. So that's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
That is great. We will. Hey, Craig had some
Yeah.
fun ones there, but he got a little ahead because we got to go back
Yeah.
to Bryce. Let's start off with
Yeah.
Rio, Dubai, any of those. I know we already touched Guadalajara too, but we skipped over a couple big ones there. Rio in Brazil and Dubai in the Middle East.
Right, yeah. Rio was important because Alcaraz, I mean, this is a guy that, you know, has taken the men's tennis tour by storm. And I know on our show, when we first saw him, we were like, okay, he's going to be great. We think he's going to be probably a clay quarter. Where he, you know, all you saw was like Dungeon Boy from Nadal, right? Yeah. And so we, you know, that's what we thought. But within a year, we have seen that he's an all-court player. I mean, people are trying to say that, okay, slow it down. You're hyping him up too much or whatever. Look at what happened to Raducanu. Let me be real clear about something. Raducanu is over here. Alcaraz is over here. Even when Raducanu won the U.S. Open, I never looked at her as like, oh, she was this next, like, oh, she's now going to run the tables, right? Or, you know, I thought she needs to either shine this one up real good and keep it in the front room, or she might get one late in her career, another one late in her career. Alcaraz, for me, and I can only speak, and I know we can all speak from the same perspective, but, you know, I've been watching tennis for a very long time. And there've only been a handful of players that when I watched them in the beginning that I knew, like, okay, they are going to be a future top of the game. Right. And I don't even have to name you those people because you know who they are. I get that exact same feeling with Alcaraz. When I look at him as a package, he has everything. I mean, we used to say Coco Gauff had everything, but actually Coco has some hitches in her game that she's going to need to fix before she can really be at the top of the game. Alcaraz really has everything. He's got the solid camp. He's got the superstar mentorship. He's got no weaknesses on the court. He's got ground strokes. He's got serve. He's got movement. He's got hands at the net. He's got a fighter's attitude. He has the mentality to win. He plays well in pressure points. I mean, it's just like, what I mean, he maybe doesn't break a good racket, you know, his form isn't real good with that. But other than that, I think nothing's stopping him but himself.
Yeah. I think that Alcaraz is definitely the real deal. I think that, you know, again, I'm gonna take it back to the camp because I think Bryce and I have always talked about this. I'm a firm believer in who you have backing you and who you have behind you. And again, this is my thing with Zverev. Juan Carlos Ferrero, one of my absolute favorites when he was on the tour, the Mosquito. Let's not forget, he was with Zverev, and because of that lack of discipline, he was like, "I'm out, deuces, I gotta go." And he's been working with Alcaraz, and you can see that discipline. You can see that fire. You can see the intelligence that he brings. And like Bryce said, you can also see that he's not just a clay court player. Let's not forget, Juan Carlos Ferrero made the U.S. Open finals. He had a very accomplished hard court record. He is instilling a lot of that knowledge into Carlos Alcaraz, and you're seeing the results. I mean, that kid is awesome, and I, like you, Bryce, I think he will be running the men's side very, very well. He's already in the mix, but I think he's going to be running things in a few years.
Yeah.
With you, CB, what do you think?
Well, I've got one thing to say about Emma Raducanu. I think she's a one-hit wonder, like Bryce. With too shy.
Oh no.
So, yes, yeah, I think she's a one-hit wonder. I think you know, she's a one-trick pony, just like Lamal and the boys from Kajagoogoo. So
it's true. I actually pronounce her last name Emma Kajagoogoo.
Emma Kajagoogoo.
Hey, look, I love Kajagoogoo because they were founded by Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran, who is my favorite British band to ever hit the scene.
Well, they had a couple of hits. Duran Duran were pretty good, but Kajagoogoo, that Too Shy, that was pretty good. You know, that was on Bands Reunited.
Hush, hush, eye to eye.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty funny stuff. But yeah, Emma Raducanu, you know, I don't know. I don't know. She just looks like she's struggling. I don't know if she's, you know, in good form or not. Obviously, mentally and physically, physically she looks fine, but mentally, there's something not firing on all cylinders for her.
The bag's too heavy.
Yeah, the bag's
Big money.
The bag's too heavy. That's the problem. Call her bag lady.
Right. So cashing those big checks, you know.
Yeah.
She's got her one. She's done. So for the most part, but nice girl. But you know, first, second round, I think they figured her out. You know, as far as thinking another one, Dubai. Have we talked about Dubai yet? I don't think we talked about Dubai. That was some pretty good tennis over there.
It was.
You know, Vesely, you know, right there. What did he do? You know, as AJ was saying, eats 900 cheat meals.
I got
big sexy.
Right.
Big sexy.
For me, one of the Indian Wells highlights was the brothers interviewing Nick. But I was rather disappointed that when they asked Nick about cheat meals, he totally glossed over the question. And then I thought, wait a minute, Vesely about a month before, that brother had 15 or 20 cheat meals. And then beat Djokovic.
Right. I mean, that's
that food gave him fire. Apparently,
it sure did.
He went out there in Isaac form. Yeah. He beat up a whole bunch of folks.
Right.
He had some good spicy Middle Eastern food and beat up who? He beat Djokovic and Shapo, right?
Shapo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tournament right there. So
that was impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was like, well, what's that trophy? You know, from Dubai. You know, it's kind of it looks like the hawk. Is it a hawk or a horn
sailboat,
or something?
Sailboat.
The sailboat. That's what it is.
It's
right. It's a unique looking trophy. That's for sure. I don't know if any other one is like that out there. So who gets a sailboat for winning a tennis tournament? Usually it's a tennis player with a pose like that. So
Dubai is indeed the sailboat, and Doha is the hawk.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Well, let's move down to Bryce. I know you mentioned Sloane at Guadalajara, Leylah Annie Fernandez at Monterrey. Any other neat highlights from the first quarter before we go to our second segment?
I just wanted to keep it in Dubai and hit the ladies' side. Somebody woke Ostapenko up, and and she came out swinging for the fences and was clowning and actually took the title over your girl Isaac Kuder.
Yep.
Kudermetova. We never know from whence Ostapenko is going to come. But she showed up in Dubai.
Yeah. And that's why she has one lone French Open title is when she is on, she can play some spectacular tennis. I mean, she can hit the ball, y'all. But again, most of the time you just gotta, cover your kids in the first row because she will light them up.
Looks like she's lost some weight. I mean, since the French Open days, I mean, she was a little heavy. Looks like she's done a little bit of training. She might have been on 500 cheat meals instead of 900 cheat meals. But, she's kind of lowering the calorie, count. But, where'd she come from all of a sudden? She was almost forgotten there for, a couple of years. Seemed like that maybe she got, COVID for a year and a half or something and just sat at home. I don't recall her really ever doing much here lately, other than in Dubai.
Yeah, no, she was taking L's.
Yes.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Lots of them. Well, fellas, anything else in that first quarter?
I don't know if we're getting into this later, AJ. Have we really just given our flowers to Swiatek, though? I know we mentioned her just a couple minutes ago, but we need to give that young lady her love. Because
Craig mentioned her, and I want to go a little deeper on both Miami, the Sunshine Double, both Miami and Indian Wells. And if we may add, the sun shines pretty bright in Doha as well. That's the Sunshine Triple for Iga Swiatek. So, let's lead with Isaac and Bryce on what Craig kind of started is Iga Swiatek.
I mean, who is this young lady? She came out in 2023 and was like, you know what? Yeah. If Ash Barty's not going to be around, why not me?
Right.
Why not me? And I'm just going to leave it right there. Fellas, go right ahead.
Yeah. The thing that I love about her is that she, from day one, we saw she came with a pretty strong camp. And she has acknowledged how much she looks up to Rafa. And you can see where she has taken certain things from like Rafa's style of play and has kind of employed those in her own game. And the thing is that's really incredible is that, it looks like there has been no pressure on her assuming that top spot. I mean, she stepped into those matches like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Exactly. And she is beating people with the quickness. She's also pulling out, matches, the three setters when they go, the distance. In my mind, which can be, I guess, a little twisted at times, but, I like to think we'd eventually see Swiatek Osaka kind of battle. Osaka's got some more work to kind of get there, but I think Swiatek's going to be there waiting for her.
Yes.
Fully.
Yeah. I mean, she hits the crap out of the ball. That's all I want to say. I mean, she was pounding the ball. I was watching, was it a couple weeks ago? I was like, holy smoke. Was it her and Azarenka? It was her and I'm trying to think who the match was. It was a couple of weeks ago. I was watching. I was like, damn, man, she was just firing out and just swinging for the fences, and they were going in. I was like, wow, that girl definitely deserves to be number one. I'm going to miss Ash Barty because that finally, AJ talked me over into her camp, and I started realizing how great she was. She has a lot of texture on that slice backhand, you know, and you know, that's the one thing that I liked about Barty. It was kind of like Graf. You know, they could carve people up, you know, with that backhand. They didn't have to always hit the ball 9,000 miles an hour. But, you know, Iga, golly, man, like I said, I was just really impressed that this one match. I'll have to think about it here for a second. But I was like, man, maybe, I don't know, or Sabalenka, maybe she's playing Sabalenka. I just was trying to remember that I was just really impressed. She was right on the baseline like Agassi, you know, just taking everything off the rise and just kicking butt. And I was like, whoa, okay, if this girl can keep this up, yeah, and she did, obviously, and she's number one in the world. And that's, I mean, Ash Barty probably would have been if she would have stayed around, but she asked to take her name off the WTA roster. And but you know, Iga, man, that girl, she's got some staying power, and I think that she's going to be a force to be reckoned the rest of the year.
It's true. Shout out to Ash Barty for removing herself, because she probably could have kept one and then just let herself plinko down.
Right.
And did, you know, she did. She's so classy. She's like, all right, I'm going to go play golf this weekend. Iga, you're number one. Go for it, girl. And she did. And I want to say another thing about Iga. You know, sometimes when you win a tournament or two, like she won the French Open that weird October year, she used a Prince racket. She wasn't getting paid handsomely at all by that company. We know that. She got the bag from Technofiber and switched rackets, legit switched rackets. It's not a paint job. She took a month or two to adjust to it, and she's playing even better. And that does not always happen. Think of one of our favorites, Isaac, Juan Carlos Ferrero. When he switched rackets, his game went in the tank for 6-8 months. It was rough.
It
he
sure
went from
did.
Prince to head. You know, big praise for Iga for making that adjustment, and the attitude. And I've always admired this of Ash Barty. She's stoic. Like, she's going to control what she can control. What she ain't controlling, she's not controlling. She's not worried about it.
Right.
And I feel like Iga has inherited that. And one more thing, I want to wax poetically on Iga. When I first heard an interview with her, it happened to be that she had won, and she was talking about her admiration for Rafa and Nadal. And I was like, look at this girl. She's almost crying. Her voice is breaking up a little. And then, of course, I saw her in the next interview, and her voice was still the same. So I don't know. I don't really know. Well,
That's
guys,
funny.
You guys rock. This has been so fun talking highlights. I want to go to the second segment here, and this has to do with our favorite moments and highlights on our shows, but also on each other's shows. I ask you, Isaac, which would you like to go first?
Hey, we can go first. I mean,
Okay.
I just think with your show, with you know, at the net, who you all bring forward and the stories that they're able to tell are really, in my opinion, the biggest thing that is just so incredible about you guys. I mean, again, we have different slants on our podcast versus yours, but I really love the fact that you have guests that come in, they talk about their stories, they talk about what they're doing in the tennis space. And I just feel like that is something that needs to be given more shine and more visibility. And so for me, that to me is really just an incredible thing that you all are doing, is, again, giving voice to people who are really helping this sport move forward. So that's what I would share.
You are so kind. Thank you. Craig, you're up next. What do you love and appreciate about the Brothers on Tennis shows?
Well, I you know, since we've known them in the short period of time, I'm always impressed by how well that they maneuver through. Like, I'm always impressed, like they were Indian Wells, and just to see them, you know, I'm going, damn, those guys are right there interviewing, you know, these superstars in tennis, and you guys are just so awesome with your interview skills, how you do presentations, you know, and that's not an easy deal. You know, because you've got to have a set series of questions in your mind, kind of who, what, when, where, why, and you all handle that with such grace, such elegance. I'm just so impressed. You know, when I see you guys like at Indian Wells, I'm just like, hey, damn, Bryce and Isaac, man, they got it going over there with these folks. You know, it's like that's really cool. I applaud you all for the professionalism, the way you all handle those things. So those spot on interviews, you've got to be thinking, what's going on in the current, in maybe in the future, a little bit of past, but you guys are quick witted, but just the professionalism that you all bring to brothers at the net. Brothers on tennis. That I was thinking brothers at the net. That's what we're doing right now. brothers on tennis. I got too many things going. I'm like Joe Biden. Who is this? What am I doing?
You're busy. You're a busy man.
So crazy.
So,
well,
but
Bryce,
kudos to you guys. Yeah.
Let's move it down to Bryce. What are your favorites? Little highlights of the At the Net podcast.
Yeah, it piggybacking a little bit on what Isaac said, I think it's what we kind of have as a shared interest between our two podcasts, which is, with Brothers on Tennis, we wanted to give some shine to people that were often missed by the mainstream. And, as Isaac so eloquently stated a few minutes ago, you guys do the same thing with a completely different demographic. But I want to talk about something else that I like about your show. And I always think when you have two people that are co-hosts, right, you don't really want two people that are exactly the same, right? You want, a little contrast there. And I love the contrast between you two because, AJ, you're the very very trained professional, facilitator, right? I think you're the best at facilitating I've seen in any of the podcast shows. And then you throw on top of that you can do impressions. And it's like, that's great. And then you have Craig, who really comes like, Uncle Luke from the backyard,
Uncle Joe.
I mean, he's very casual. He's very will say anything that comes off the top of his head. And and what I'm saying is that's a good balance between the two of you because it makes for a good, kind of dynamic, a good rapport between the two of you. And I love that. So,
No, I agree with you 1,000% because I do think AJ does, in ours we do 3 sets, 3 segments, and AJ does a fantastic job on the first 2 sets and segments, getting their background, getting their current and future projects, and then, me, I just kind of tag along for the 3rd set. I've got the easy job.
You are awesome, though, and
yeah.
Craig makes people laugh who I've known for 30 years. We had a guest on recently. I've known this cat for 30 years. I love him. We're pals. I've probably made him laugh less than Craig did in that one set, in the 3rd segment. Hey, I want to get to my favorite BOT moments, and that was, on one hand, I fully agree with Bryce that we both look at some things, and both our shows look at some things that aren't covered by the mainstream, but you guys had a chance to touch my heart with Isha Price of the King Richard movie, with Reynaldo Marcus Green. Was this his last name? Green?
Green, yes.
Ray. Everybody calls him Ray. Reynaldo, man. And then, of course, also the executive producer. For me, those two stood out. And those are some highlights of your show. I'm not going to ruin it because I want people to go to Spotify or wherever that's hosted. I know I saw it on either Apple or Spotify podcast, but I was touched for the whole hour on those 2 or 3 exclusives, really, because they've been interviewed, but not all those 4 people involved with the movie so directly and so heavily. They've not been interviewed by anybody but you guys. So let's call it a King Richard exclusive. And not just that my heart was full and I was touched to hear the insider story about a movie that's clearly seeing success, but my heart was also full hearing that my brothers at the net my brothers on tennis were the guys with the exclusive. So awfully well done on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course. Why don't we move into brothers talking about their own highlights for a second?
I mean, to start with me, I don't know what was one of our highlights. I I don't really think about our podcast that much. I mean, don't get me wrong. The King Richards exclusive was awesome.
Right.
I mean, that to me was something that we were extremely excited about. Very blessed to be able to get the folks that we spoke with and just have that genuine conversation that we had. But I'd say that was my highlight. Bryce, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, and that's perfect because I definitely think that is one of the highlights. The other highlight that I would throw out for us is our relationship with the City Taste of Tennis.
Yes.
And so our ability to, I mean, we literally, when we first got into this whole podcast game, we said, you know what? Boy, it would be nice one day if we could just get like an invite to one of those city events just to like experience it and to see what it's like. And to think that was a couple of years ago, and now we are an official partner with AYS Marketing and City Taste of Tennis. We do the player interviews for the events, you know, going from just wanting to be able to step in an event to being a partner of these events going forward. I love doing that. And I think the player interviews that we get those nights, I think our viewers, they benefit from that.
Well stated, Bryce. Very well stated.
Big highlight. Yeah.
I'm just so in awe of, like I said, the way you guys interview people, and you all do such a great job. And I've listened to several of your interviews, and I'm like, wow, these guys have got it going. And you all, I know you haven't been in the podcast game a long time, but I mean, you sound like you've been in there, in the media game for 40 or 50 years. You sound like veterans.
Oh,
Craig,
thank you.
I'm gonna play bad cop as we get into the spicy segment. They're such great interviewers, but what is up with how many people did not quite get my favorite question that y'all asked? You asked them a very simple, amazing legacy question. You asked them all right, y'all, Whitney, Michael Jackson, or Prince? What the hell happened?
Well, I will tell you this, because we didn't post all the interviews we did that night.
Okay.
But I did like a little tally. So that night, and I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but let's say it was a total of 10 players we asked. 0 people said Prince. Not a single person said Prince. And I think 7 said Michael Jackson, and I think 3 said Whitney, and the 3 that said Whitney were all women. And yeah, and we had 2 people who both almost didn't even let me finish saying the list once they heard Michael Jackson. They were like, Michael, I don't need to hear anything else. It's Michael. That's who's came from, man.
Boy, that's a tough one. I'm sitting there trying to think of all the great songs, but Michael Jackson. I mean, I'm gonna have to say Michael Jackson for me. That dude was pound for pound one of the greatest, if not the greatest, artists out there. And all the songs he influenced, and all the from his days as a youth, as a singer when he was about 8 years old with the Jackson 5, ABC, that kind of stuff into Thriller, into I mean, he had an unbelievable career, and the range of his voice. He was a little weird on the personal side, but that's enough. But his music was spot on. I mean, you talk about a generation. Anybody hangs around with a chimpanzee, kind of like that. It's like
Craig going in.
Hey,
right,
I'm just saying,
we about to change this subject.
I did say he was a great singer. I said he was a great singer. Personally, maybe a little off, but hey, maybe if I didn't have a childhood and I did stuff like, he didn't get a chance really. You start thinking about, his dad and what all went on in that place. But the Jackson 5, man, those guys, I was always wanting to hang around the Jackson 5 when I was a kid, because Michael Jackson was such a great artist, dancer. I mean, guys, the guy was an entertainer deluxe. I don't know if we've ever seen a better person pound for pound in our generation that we've grown up with. That there's some great bands that lead men, but the Glove, that was it. That's him.
That's him.
Well, what else is kind of spicy? I kind of said my piece there. Let's start with Isaac on this one. Give us some spice from this past quarter, or maybe what you see right now in the current moment?
Well, I'm just going to say that apparently Ash Barty was listening to Brothers on Tennis because she saw that Isaac predicted her to basically win the rest of the slams for the year. And then she was like, I'm out, y'all. So that was my spicy moment. She said deuces. So I'm still very, very much hurt because of that.
Sad. Let's go to Craig. Anything spicy from the man?
I'm trying to think about what's out there that might be a little spicy right there. Maybe the Australian Open. I'm going to say, what the hell were those people thinking down in Australia with Novak Djokovic? What a conundrum that was, or a cluster. And I could add a few more adjectives on the end of that. Yeah. But we're on Instagram. I don't want to get kicked off. But having Novak come down there saying, "Oh yeah, he's in, he's not in, he's in, he's not in." I mean, I'm sorry, I love Australia and I like the Australians, but man, I thought that was a tennis conundrum right there. So that's just me.
I agree with what they did, but how they did it, not so beautiful.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not a huge Novak fan. Novak, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of yours, but Novak, what do you think about me saying not a fan?
Craig, I love you.
I still like to put AJ on the spot. I want to put Novak on the spot all the time. He knows that I'm not a real Novak fan, but I do like to hear his voice every now and then. So
Craig, both on the court as well as off the court, I'm a big fan of yours, even if you don't admiring my game so much. But I will throw my my heart to all four sides of Craig's office.
Boob toss.
Bryce, let's get to some spicy stuff from you. What do you got for us?
Okay, y'all gonna probably be mad at me for naming this, but I have to because I think it's significant. And it really is the Will Smith situation at the Oscars. And the reason why I bring it up is because, unfortunately, during the time of this whole Williams story, to me, one of the consistent things is there's always been a detractor, some way, somehow, taking away from their success, whether it's been press or media, whether it's been, racism, whether it's been jealousy in the locker room, whether it's been health issues, it's always something, right? And it looked like for a moment that this King Richard picture was going to be the one thing that was like, everyone was acknowledging, greatest tennis movie we've ever seen, all the nominations and the awards, and Will Smith is going to finally win his first, Oscar for this particular role. This is going to finally vindicate, Richard Williams, and, give him the flowers that he's due. And it was supposed to be all this shine that ultimately came back on the Williams family.
Right.
And because of the incident that happened, once again, we have a detractor from it. And so that was, I wasn't as involved energy-wise into the actual action, what happened. I was really more invested in the repercussions and the people that had to suffer them, that weren't even really involved in that.
Right. You're referring to Questlove for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Probably referring to the whole Williams family, which I know Serena said, that was not good. That was like right. she was very critical from her family's perspective. And if I may add, I loved how thoughtfully and, like Craig said, elegantly, delicately, you guys gave a nuanced take on was it the Monday night, so 24 hours basically after the Rock Smith incident. You handled it with such nuance and sensitivity and sadness, and sometimes that's not easy to do. Sometimes it's easier just to make fun of it, which is something, my reflex goes to that. But you guys were, like you said, very heavily invested in it repercussion-wise, and I appreciate that. That was more serious, but also spicy. But I've got a great comment here. I believe it was Linnell who said the ATP needs anger management training. She's right. And they've let some stuff go on. And, I want them to be firmer, but I also love a little humor. And I loved Andy Roddick's tutorial on, look, I busted a ton of rackets, and here's how you do it, and you don't get fined. Like,
Right.
anybody, you don't hit a ball, kid. You don't smack a ball and hit a lady in the
Right.
throat. Y'all, here's how you do it. Like, Roddick, hats off, bro. That was good.
Yeah, no, that was I saw that piece. That was pretty damn funny. Can I back up and ask one question though to Bryce and Isaac? Do you all think that was set up, that Will Smith, Chris Rock, or do you all believe, just out of curiosity, what's your all's take on that? To me, I've got my own opinion, and I'll tell you if you want me to. Do you think it was in the moment right there, and it wasn't for ratings or anything like that? Because I know the Oscars has had a real issue with some ratings, so now we're all talking about it. Or a lot of people are talking.
No, it's too much fallout from Will's perspective, because this hurt his career, Craig. I mean, this has hurt him both financially, from an image standpoint. For me, I've always been a Will Smith fan, and for me,
and I am.
I don't even want to watch any of his films right now. I just don't want to even look at the guy. This, to me, it was just not appropriate. And so for me, no, I don't believe that it was staged. I'll pass it to Bryce.
Bro, but before you do, bro, I want you to watch 6 Degrees of Separation. This is an early Will Smith film.
Mm-hmm.
You will,
I've seen that.
I'm almost getting nauseated right now thinking of it. He played a weird, amazing character. It's when I realized he's not just a comedic actor, he's a brilliant dramatic actor. He played basically Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye in a way. And he played a very modern, shyster version of that. And it made me think, my God, he has some demons. And they came out brilliantly in that. I wish he had gotten an Oscar for that. Granted, it was a tiny independent film. He did get an Oscar for this, which is a massive theatrical release. But when I feel like watching a Will Smith vehicle, it's going to be that one. Bryce, you're up.
No, I totally agree with Isaac. And I think when we were watching it live, that was the initial thought, right? Because you would think that between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars and all of that. There were two things that told me immediately this was real. Number one, when Will got back to his seat and you saw what he was screaming in the auditorium, yeah, that was real. And then number two, here in the States, when they did the whole Oscars cutaway type thing, the Oscars is one of the most precisely produced events of the year, all right? They would avoid having to do that at any cost, right? And the fact that they had to do that and cut away, and that told me like they were not expecting this. This was not planned, and it was nobody. Well, really, honestly, I was about to say no one benefited from it. It actually looks like Chris Rock. In terms of his ticket, he's been benefiting a little bit. But
them ticket prices going up.
Also, Chris Rock's brother is doing okay right now too.
Yes, he is. I see it. We need to shut him up, actually. But Will is taking a tremendous hit. Fortunately, he's in a position to be able to take it.
So what do you think about Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl? Was that planned?
Oh, Craig.
I'm just gonna say I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just thinking, curious minds, are out there. I just had a thought. So no, I just thought it. I don't know. I just there was a thought from one of our listeners or listeners. Sorry. I'm trying to sit there. There we go. The only thing that was weird is that if someone comes straight into your personal space, usually back it up or put your hands, or it's natural reaction. Chris Rock didn't do either. So I kind of saw that. And that's what I was kind of looking at going, I wonder if that's real or stage, but yeah.
They said he has a condition though. Who knows if this is actually true or not, but they said that there's some condition that he has that doesn't allow him to recognize when someone is actually coming to do something physical like that. I can't remember what news show I saw that on, but Chris kind of suffers from something that. And what I will say about the Janet and Justin thing
just
is,
Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake thing is, just simply put, y'all, it's a breast.
Get over it.
Get over it. Because what they did to Janet was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We see gore,
Okay.
we see blood flying all over the place on the TVs, but you can't see a breast, you can't see a nipple. Let's
I didn't.
let's
I
go.
had to go back and
a
review.
beautiful one at that.
Oh my goodness.
And let's
Ooh.
remember, Janet is not the one that ripped it off.
Right.
Correct.
It's the kid.
Correct.
So
you know,
you
that's
got,
what I'll
you,
say.
you got to look at other reasons why she may have
Right.
been targeted.
Right. Yeah. She's a great looking girl back then, man. I like Janet Jackson. I thought she was really.
What you mean back then?
But
then?
no,
Well,
right?
I haven't seen her lately. She's still
Ooh,
looking
I'll
pretty
send
hot.
you a
Yeah,
photo.
yeah.
Okay.
I will
Oh,
send
okay.
you a photo. Yeah,
Okay.
Janet is. Mhm.
I want you all to interview her, Janet Jackson. Come on, guys.
You know what? I want you
You
to
gotta
try to
step your
help
game
make
up.
that happen for us. So there is your task, Mr. CB.
Okay.
Before we have our second quarter collab show,
Okay.
I'm going to need an update on the Janet Jackson situation.
Okay. All
There
right.
you go.
There
you go.
We have a good R&D department at the net, so
That is too.
I'll task that to them right now. So
Well, guys, anything else on the spicy segment or before we adjourn for the night?
How about you? Anything spicy?
yeah,
from
come
you?
on.
Yeah,
AJ.
I mean,
right.
well,
Come on
thank
now.
you. You know, I'm going to go with Osaka ×2. Osaka dates YBN Corday,
Right.
but she is so friendly and quick to well, basically she came just a mile and a half from here to watch Chris Eubanks qualify and then in a main draw match. I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, there she was, you know, a few rows away from me. I didn't even know it. I think it was Tennis Tycoon texted me. He's like, dude, are you there? Naomi is like right over there in front of you, like that. So she's watching Chris Eubanks, and I love Chris Eubanks. He's got the legs about the size of my forearms, but he's got this XXL one-handed backhand. I love that kid. And clearly Naomi is pals with him too, enough to tag along in Dallas. And then in LA, she is rallying a little with Nick. She sits down on the baseline near the alley to observe his pinpoint on his serve, how he brings the leg up. She starts imitating it and serves like an absolute genius and played really well that whole week after LA in Eden Wells. So that's my little bit of spice. I'm sure her relationship with YBN is wonderful, but she does seem to enjoy the company of some tall fellas like Eubanks and Nick.
Well, let me tell you what I liked. Speaking of a little spicy with Naomi,
Yeah,
I liked when in the tournament that she was predicted to. Who was it? It was Wozniacki had stated that. I think she saw Kerber and somebody else coming through, and Osaka had heard her say that, and she said it so confidently too, you know. And that's when she went out there and she wore her out on the court. And I said, that's the reaction we want to see from Osaka when she gets offended or when she gets mad. Take it out on these people on the court. You know, that's what we want to see.
love it.
Exactly.
Before we go, let me ask you all a quick question on commentators, since we're kind of commentators here. You all more than me, all three of you. What do y'all think about Wozniacki? You like your comments, you know, on Tennis Channel? You know, I've been listening to her, and you know who I really like is Chandra Rubin and Taylor Townsend. I like those two in the TC Live booth. I've missed seeing Taylor Townsend. She hadn't been on as much here recently. I think she's going back on tour. If I caught something out there, and then but I do like Chandra Rubin, you know, as well, with Stevie Weissman and Andy Roddick. They've got a nice little three, you know, with Roddick in what's he in Kakalaki, North Carolina. You know, they pipe him in, and then Weissman, and then Chandra right there at TC Live, and then Taylor was in there. What do y'all think about those new faces out there?
I'll let you go, Bryce.
Well, you know, we are huge fans of Chanda. And Wozniacki, I thought she was okay. I wasn't like blown. She wasn't like a Sloane to me, who I think is the one who is waiting in the wings to take over broadcasting. But I thought Kaylin was I thought she was okay. I do like Taylor. I actually like Taylor a little more than Wozniacki in terms of her commentating style. Wozniacki has a little more probably relevant stories to tell, which make her, I think a little more interesting there. And Andy, and I'll just, before I turn over to Isaac, I'll just say about Andy Roddick, like how you are about Novak, that's the way I was about Andy when he was a player, was not a fan. Sorry, Andy, wasn't a fan of you as a player at all. But I am a big fan of his in the commentary, as an analyst and as a color analyst there. I think he's hilarious. He's right on. I like his kind of self-demeaning type of comments that he makes. And I think he's really, really good. I'm very impressed.
Man, good stuff all around. I'm so proud to have gotten to host this first one. I can't wait till the next one. I just wanted to say shout out to Instagram for letting us go an extra 20 minutes. That was fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Brothers on Tennis.
Where are you guys going? Come on. Let's we got us a party going. If they're let's go 20, maybe they'll let's go another couple hours. I mean, it's only 9:20, Dallas time. It's 8:20.
Like
7:20 out there in the LA in the
OC.
In the OC out there with Bryce and Isaac. Come on, we can go a couple more. What do you think, Andy Murray? Andy Murray, don't you think we should go a little longer?
I mean, yeah, it's great, Craig. We've got Linnell asking if I chuffed a bit, just asking if I'd do the Federer impression, but I'm just not.
So Linnell, I'm sorry. I do Dominic Thiem, I'll do Nick, but Federer is too nuanced, and it's this weird blend of regular English and a tiny Swiss German accent, and maybe a little South African in there. So it's too tough. Plus his voice is a little on the high side, and it's way easier for me to go Murray or Joker. So thank you, Linnell. Thank you.
Well, I like your Dom team. Dom, are you going to play this year, sometime French Open? Are you going to be around?
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke. I've been hurt for so long. My wrist is just, I've got a huge backhand, right? And
sorry, guys, I diverted. I'm
That's awesome.
I love it.
Sorry. Well, guys, what a party. Folks at home.
So much fun.
Hope you can, like, share, subscribe, save, whatever. Share it with your pals, whether they are at the net or not at the net, whether they are brothers on tennis or not brothers. We're all family. I'm just so proud to be involved with these guys. And good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a blast.
We're leaving? I'm staying around. Anybody want to stay and join me?
That's Uncle Luke.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy the next clay court season. Brothers on Tennis. Your next one is when? Is it this weekend or next Monday?
It's Monday, right?
Yeah, next Monday.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Week from today.
Folks at home, 1 week from right now, join the brothers on Monday night and then watch the recording and the Instagram. 2 days from tonight, watch Craig and me at the net on Instagram. And then Sunday, we won't have a show for Easter, but thank you all and good night from.
But if you're looking for something to do on Sunday for Easter, go to Versus. They're gonna have Mary versus BB and CC Winans. If you know anything about Black gospel music, Black contemporary gospel music, Mary versus BB and CC Winans, history making.
Love it. Love it. You guys rock. One more shout out. Isaac, I used your song that I love so much, Jump Into Life. Tell us a little bit how people can come and check out some of your music.
Oh, well, that's really the only one I got out.
I want people to go to the BMB experience for more.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, Craig, AJ, you are the best. Yes. So yeah, I also have a bunch of pseudonyms. I'm Brothers on Tennis. I'm Isaac. I'm also the BMB experience. So BMB, yeah, the BMBexperience.com. You can go there. You can use my handle, and yes, I do have a song that I put out last year, and yeah, I'd love for you to listen to it, and hopefully it moves you.
It has moved me, not just the music and the fact that I'm pals with the singer, but the lyrics. Who wrote that, man?
That'd be me.
The whole thing. Wow, that's great.
Well, I did not. Music is not mine, but yes, the lyrics are mine, and the vocal is me. So that is, I'm very proud of that song from the lyrical standpoint, because it was something I wrote during the pandemic, and it's like you're afraid sometimes, and sometimes you just jump into life, y'all. Just don't overthink it. Jump into life.
Can I ask one question? Can I play the Glockenspiel on it? Next. I'm a great Glockenspiel player, so I want to play the Glockenspiel. Okay, I'm very convivial.
That's a bet. That's
He
a bet.
is
CB this, yes.
Yet another Uncle Luke example, and when he shows up with the Glockenspiel in hand, you're gonna be like, okay, it's Uncle Drew.
Like,
It's Uncle
That's
Luke.
good.
Yeah. No, I like Uncle Joe better. I want to be Uncle Joe. Yeah.
Uncle
Uncle
Joe.
Luke.
We'll make you Uncle Joe. That's like, actually, Uncle Luke is already taken.
Okay.
Miami may be coming for me, calling you Uncle Luke. So yeah, let's go with Uncle Joe.
Or Uncle
Joe.
or Uncle CB.
Uncle CB. There we go.
I like that.
Yeah, you guys are fun. This is too
Shout
fun.
out to Bill Riddle, who's been a guest on both shows.
Bill.
Yeah.
He just said
Bill.
he just made fun of me a little bit. He's like, longest sign off ever.
I told you I could keep you guys going. I can still keep it rolling. So I'm
It's
gonna
a
keep
plot.
asking questions. Riddler, come on, Riddler. We got a couple of more questions out there. I'm sure we've got for these guys.
We
man.
got another page, but we're gonna get to it next quarter. You guys, God bless, love y'all.
Yeah.
Salute and have a good night.
All right, later.
Good night from Uncle CB.